predict these things.
Ming Ding takes on Cam Nelson this Saturday at UFC China. And this is an interesting fight. Ming Ding, his last performance against Jose Souza, he lost a split decision. This is back in May, so hopping right back in there, which is good to see. Didn't take tons of damage in that fight. It was kind of lackluster, pretty frustrating for me, because I feel like Ming Ding got out front, was landing some good leg kicks, but then he kind of just pulled back on the volume, I felt like, and let Souza get back into it, and ended up squeaking out a decision. So wasn't a huge fan of that performance. I feel like he does, he's got decent striking, decent power, good technique, hard low kicks, a decent amount of experience, 35-10, 45 pro fights, 31 years old, still in his prime. So he's got a lot of experience to lean on heading into this one. Hasn't had the most success as of late. Did have a win over a 10-3 guy by leg kicks and punches after his Dana White's Contender Series loss to Rami Hamed to get his shot in the UFC. Losing to a 26-17 guy before that. His wins are a 28-17, 22-11 guy, 2-6, 4-8 sprinkled in there. So not the highest level of opponents he's faced. I wasn't the highest on Jose Souza either. I feel like he should have just been chopping the legs and getting after him, because he didn't have the most power, in my opinion. And I feel like it was very evident at the beginning of that fight that the leg kicks were going to be the key to the win, and he didn't pick up on that. So concerned about his fight IQ, concerned about his overall skill ability too, because really haven't seen him on the ground either. Now he's taking on Cam Nelson, who's a 7-1 guy, young, 28. I think that he's a more well-rounded athlete. I think that he's got more ways to win, but again, record is concerning. 13-7 is the last guy he beat, but 3-2, 2-2s. I think that if you can mix in the grappling, really put Ming Ding on the back foot and keep him guessing, I think that he can pull this one out. He is a small dog here though, -110, Ming Ding -110, so it's evens. So honestly, I think this is a very close fight. I would lean Ming Ding just from an experience advantage, being in the UFC and having the hometown crowd. But I would not be surprised to see Cam Nelson get in there, mix things up, mix in the grappling, and really make him fight a mixed martial arts fight versus just a kickboxing fight. But I will lean Ming Ding, but this is one that I would stay away from. And I think that Cam Nelson is live for the win in this one. Think about becoming a member. It's $2.99 or $5.99 a month if you're feeling crazy. Really helps to support the channel. Back to the video. Xiong Yan versus Julia Polastri. So I've always been high on Julia Polastri's striking. Her fight IQ seems to struggle more than I would like to see. I feel like she is available for takedowns. We saw that obviously in her last fight against Talita Olinkar. We saw it in her fight against Lupita Godinez. Her fight against Carolina Kovacevic, again, Carolina Kovacevic is probably 38, 39 years old at that time, kind of 50-50, kind of chinny, kind of suspect, and she was able to get a third round TKO. I don't think it should have taken her to the third round, but she did eventually get it. So she is live to do damage, get KOs if she can, if she keeps it on the feet. And then the Talita Olinkar fight, she was picking her apart at range. I'm screaming at the TV with my wife, like, stop throwing leg kicks. If you can throw some high kicks, but if you just stop with the leg kicks, pick her apart with the hands, you can win this fight. She kept throwing leg kicks, would get taken down, would allow Talita Olinkar to swing the rounds and get it. So her fight IQ is frustrating for me. I think that she's very talented on the feet, but I also feel like she's somewhat undersized. And especially going into this fight, she's 5'2" with a 63-inch reach versus a 5'4", 63-inch reach. And I feel like Xiong Yan is a big and powerful striker. And she struggled in her last fight against Angela Hill, who's getting up there in age. She was like 41 years old at the time, I think. Xiong Yan's 38, so she's no spring chicken either, but she's got a lot of championship level experience. No really, bad records over the last several years. Former champ, over and won championship. And I feel like her fight with Angela Hill got in her face and pressed her from the get-go. Was working in the clinch, hurt her to the body several times in that fight, when I think that'll be a big target for Julia Polastri in this one with knees and kicks, but just wouldn't let her work in space. She was always on her, always making her work off the back foot, working in the clinch, working in the takedowns. And I feel like Julia Polastri in this one, I feel like she's going to work at range and allow Xiong Yan to really kind of work into her style, be able to set up her strikes a little bit more. I do think that Xiong Yan, very good boxing. I think she's going to have the power advantage as well. So I am concerned that Julia Polastri is going to want to play the technical at range game, and she's going to give Xiong Yan a lot of room, a lot of space to really get going. Whereas in her last fight with Angela Hill, it was just non-stop pressure on her, and I feel like Julia Polastri isn't that type of fighter. So I feel like in this one, she could allow Xiong Yan to get in, get ahead, get her rhythm going, start to land some good shots on her, and really put her on notice early and find a decision. But I am going to lean Julia Polastri because I do think that she's got a lot of potential, and I don't see this one being a wrestle fest. I don't see either of them really shooting takedowns. So I think purely on the feet, I do think that Julia Polastri is going to have a small edge there. I think she's got a little bit more of an arsenal, a lot more weapons hands, whereas Yadong, I feel like she's got some low kicks, but primarily she's a boxer, and she's 38 years old, coming off of a loss in the UFC. Granted, she's a champion and won championship, but it's not the caliber of opponent that you're facing in the UFC. And I feel like Julia Polastri, I think she's got a lot of potential. Very good striker. I think that she'll learn from these mistakes. She's still young, only 28 years old. So I will go Julia Polastri. But again, these very first fights on these cards are minefields, honestly. I wouldn't stake the house on them, is what I'll say. Moving on, we got Lawrence Lee versus Hector Santiago. So Lawrence Lee, his last fight just wasn't impressive. I mean, he was shooting for panic takedowns. He was getting rocked on the feet versus Sulan Grambo. Won the fight by split decision. I could see it going either way, but it looked like he was a victim on the feet, was getting hurt, was desperately looking to get the fight to the ground. And Hector Santiago is pretty good on the feet. 6-1, only 7 fights, 33 years old. Hasn't fought the best level of competition. Again, has a loss by finish to a guy, Mason Alcino, who was 13-7 at the time by rear naked choke. So I feel like if he can keep this one on the feet and sprawl and brawl, I think he's got a chance here. But I think that Lawrence Lee, he's well-rounded. He's got decent enough striking. He's got relentless grappling. I think he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu as well. I think that he'll be able to mix this one up enough to get it to the ground and win there with a submission or a unanimous decision win. He is from City Kickboxing, so you know that his striking's ever improving. 30 years old, still going to be making improvements, barely into his prime. I think that he's the more well-rounded athlete, whereas Hector Santiago is more of just a pure striker, and he hasn't faced really any good competition, in my opinion, in losing to one of those guys on the regional scene, losing to another guy as an amateur as well. So I'm going to go with Lawrence Lee. Didn't like his first fight, but he is coming off of road to the UFC, which is decent competition, nothing really to write home about. And I think that he's got more ways to win in this one. I think that he's a little bit more well-rounded. So I'm going to go with Lawrence Lee to get this one done. I don't think that he should be minus 300, but I would give him the edge to get this one done. Moving on, we got Jack Jenkins versus Sean Woodson. So I immediately heard of this fight was getting made, and I think of just the little tank legs on Sean Woodson. 6'2" at 145 pounds. Not a lot of meat on the bone. Taking on Jack Jenkins, who's known to kick like a horse, broken at least 1 or 2 guys' legs in previous fights. I didn't like what I saw his last time out against Ramon Taveras. I feel like he made it a little bit too close. It was a little sketchy on the feet until he was getting his takedowns. The Gabriel Santos fight rocked him at one point in that fight. I think it was with a head kick, but couldn't get the finish and then kind of fizzled out. But again, Gabriel Santos is a stud. He's a problem in the division. Beats Herbert Burns, nothing right home about. Chepe Mariscal had an injury. Split decision win over Jamal Emmers, which I think is very good. But I think that Jack Jenkins, I think that he's got power on the feet. He's technical. He's going to be at a range and height disadvantage in this one. But I feel like if he just leans on the leg kicks and doesn't give a lot of respect to Sean Woodson, because I don't think that he has the most power in the world. I feel like he relies on his reach advantage and his placement and being able to play the distance game and land his shots. And he can be a little bit more defensively responsible just with the natural range that he has to really pick his shots and fight off the back foot and make guys pay as they come in. And I think he's going to be at like a 10-inch reach advantage in this one. Last time I checked, 78 to 68. That's crazy. So he's going to be 7 inches taller, going to have a 10-inch reach advantage. But I think that Jack Jenkins has the grappling advantage. I think he's the better guy on the ground. I think he's got more consequence in his punches. So I think he's the better overall mixed martial artist. And I think he's got more ways to win. And I think that if he really leans on those leg kicks, feints with the takedowns, mixes things up, I think that he can get this one done. I haven't ever really been high on Sean Woodson. He got TKO'd by Dan Ige last time out. It was an early stoppage. Who knows what would happen if it would have kept going. Beat Fernando Padilla. Not really impressed by that because Sarah said Charles Jourdain win is good. Dennis Bazooka, Yusuf Zalal back in the day got darsed out by Julian Erosa. Knocked out Terrence McKinney. Like, he's got good wins, but I'm not convinced by that guy. A lot of split decisions on here. His career could be drastically different if any of these went the other way. He's shown that he can be finished. Darce choked, got chinned by Dan Ige. Chinned, but he did get hurt. Maybe he would have got put out. So I'm gonna go with Jack Jenkins as a dog. Plus 125. Sean Woodson minus 150. I just can't trust Sean Woodson anymore. Very technical, awkward. Don't think he has the best chin. Don't think he has the most power. I feel like he leans on his height and his reach advantage a little bit too much, and somebody savvy like Jack Jenkins who can, break your legs literally with his leg kicks. I think he can give Sean Woodson a lot of problems, especially if he gets out there early and starts chopping down those trees. So I'm gonna go Jack Jenkins to get this one done as a small dog. Moving on, we got Long Xiao versus Francisco Nuzzi. So Long Xiao, been in the UFC, had some decent scraps, good striking, good chin, tough dude, good cardio, will shoot takedowns, good record, 27-11. I wouldn't say that's good, but a lot of fights, 38 fights. fights, 28 years old. Absolutely crazy, some of these Chinese guys, the records that they get before they're even in their 30s. Lost to Cody Garbrandt last time out just because he kept fouling him. Would have won that fight if he didn't do that. Lost to Su Young Yu, Cheng Ho Lee by split. Like, these aren't terrible. These aren't terrible losses. Those are excusable. Beats Quang Lee in a pretty entertaining fight. Gets it done in the 3rd round. Before that, another road to UFC guy gets decent competition. Loses to Christian Quinones on Dana White's Contender Series. Christian Quinones is underrated in my opinion. And taking on Francisco Nuzzi, who's 11-2, good record, about the same age, 5'6", 69-inch reach against 5'8", 70-inch reach. So gonna be a little bit shorter, but nothing to write home about there. And I've seen some of his footage over in Cage Warriors PFL. Like, he's got some pretty crispy striking. Recently had the no contest against Manuel Souza. I think that was due to like a low blow. Yeah, accidental groin kick. Beats Lucas Rodrigues, a 12-7 guy, gets choked out by Mando Gutierrez at 10-3, but Mando Gutierrez hasn't had the best record himself. So decent opponents on his record, and he's got pretty good striking. I just don't think that he has the ability to really hurt or put out somebody like Long Zhao. And I think that Long Zhao has fought the much better competition. He's been in the UFC longer. He's been 3 rounds. He can push a super high pace. I think he's the better grappler. I think he's got more ways to win. So I'm going to go with Long Zhao to get this one done. 1-3 since joining the UFC. So back against the wall, taking on a guy who hasn't been in the UFC before, who's got decent striking, but I think that's something that Long Zhao can nullify with his pressure, his forward pace, his takedowns, his chin. He's got consequence and power coming your way too. So I'm going to go with Long Zhao. Small favorite, -180. I could definitely see Francisco Nuzzi having success on the feet though, defending takedowns, having success at range, and winning this one by just being a little bit slicker on the feet. But I'm going to go with Long Zhao to get this one done. Ray Tsuruya takes on Kevin Borjas. So Ray Tsuruya, phenomenal grappler, really good wrestling. Striking is still suspect. And Kevin Borjas, I've always thought Kevin Borjas was underrated, and he showed that to us in his last fight against Andre Lima, fighting off the back foot, landing the better shots, rocked Andre Lima at one point, and just did more, you know, fought off the back foot, went first, had more offense. Andre Lima just too patient, not opening up enough. Kevin Borjas got it done. Before that, almost had the finish over Emmanuel Rodriguez, fumbled it, then gassed out and got TKO'd. Sumudaerji fight. If you're going to stand with Sumudaerji at range, you're probably going to lose. So no shame in that loss. Fraud check Ronaldo Rodriguez, loses to Costa, loses to Joshua Van. Those are very high caliber guys. So Kevin Borjas, he's dangerous on the feet, tough dude, he's got a motor, he's got power in the hands, he can spark anybody out. And taking on Ray Tsuruya, who I haven't been impressed with the stand-up. If he's stuck on the feet, he's in trouble. We saw that in his fight with Joshua Van. Although Joshua Van didn't finish him, he was able to defend or win the scrambles to get back up to his feet to land more damage. But I do think that Ray Tsuruya is just a much better grappler than Kevin Borjas. He's got like 72% takedown defense, I think it was, but he can be taken down, and I just don't think that he's going to be able to open up on the feet and be able to get enough respect to defend the takedowns. If we look at the way that he fought last time out against Andre Lima, he was just skidding around the side of the cage, backing up the entire time on the back foot. And if you allow Ray Tsuruya to push you into the cage like that, it's going to be a really bad night for you. So I'm going to go with Ray Tsuruya, but I wouldn't mind an underdog Kevin Borjas chinning of the ages as an underdog pick. But going to go with Ray Tsuruya to get this one done by submission, -600. He should get this one done. Moving on. Speaking of Andre Lima, hopping right back in there, taking on Namzrai Batbayar. So Namzrai Batbayar, 10-1 guy, 25 years old, fighting out of Mongolia, good record, comes off a road to the UFC, has ground and pound wins, rear naked chokes, TKOs, KOs, coming off of several finishes on the road to the UFC. To come into the UFC, he was supposed to fight Aaron Tao back in January 31st. I think Aaron Tao came in like super heavy, so the fight got canceled. He was way overweight, and his only losses to Namjargal Tumen Dembara back in November 22, which is not a bad loss at all. I think Tumen Dembara is really good coming off of that win over Cody Durden, I think it was. So very well-rounded, talented guy, and taking on somebody like Andre Lima, who prior to his last fight, I thought Andre Lima was an absolute problem for the division. I still think he is. He's very put together on the feet, very technical, good leg kicks, good strikes to all levels, a lot of tools, a lot of weapons, high-level jiu-jitsu as well. So he can do it all. It's just in his last fight, I just feel like he's a little bit too patient, struggles to pull the trigger. He like gets into position to where he should be capitalizing and opening up, but he doesn't. And we saw that a few times his last fights, like Mitch Raposo going to a split decision. Felipe Dos Santos is very underrated. You look back at his losses, and his losses are only to really highly touted guys. So the fact that Andre Lima was able to beat him but couldn't really get him out of there's no shame in that. The Daniel Barres fight eventually got the submission. So I'm gonna go with Andre Lima. I do think that he is the better overall MMA fighter. I think he's got higher ceiling. I think he's more put together. I think he's got more potential, and he's been in the UFC already with a lot of experience. So although he did have kind of a stinker performance last time out, like Kevin Borjas will do that to people, it wasn't to an absolute nobody in my opinion. So I'm gonna go with Andre Lima to get this one done. He's a minus 250 favorite. That's about right. I wouldn't be shocked to see Namsrai Batbayar come in there and put on a really good performance though, but I do think that Andre Lima will get this one done. Moving on, we got Bilal Hasan taking on Nielsen Rojas. I like how these guys, who is it, Went, the guy who turned around and off of Dana White's Contender Series and got onto a UFC card, and now we got Bilal Hasan, who just took out a guy in like 45 seconds back on August 11th, and now he's taking on Nielsen Rojas. And this is like, my issue with this card is there's a lot of debutants, there's just not a lot of footage on these guys. Not a lot of footage on what was his name? Cam Nelson. Can't find any footage on Nielsen Rojas, nowhere. But I know that he's a 9-0 guy, finishing ability, ground and pound, TKOs, doesn't have really any submissions. Does have a loss to Kevin Borjas on the amateur scene. He does have a very extensive amateur career, which I do like to see. But taking on Bilal Hasan, who's very high level striker, has fought some really good guys, 9-1, 7-0, 8-4, looked really good in his Dana White's Contender Series fight, 6-0 as an amateur, undefeated as a pro. I think this guy is the real deal. And taking on a guy in Nielsen Rojas, we don't know a lot about, didn't come in off of Dana White's Contender Series. I feel like he's just kind of not a highly touted guy, but a guy with a really good record that they're bringing in to just get kind of sparked out for Bilal Hasan, who I think they're going to try and build and get behind. So I'm going to go with Bilal Hasan to get this one done at minus 500. Again, this is one where it's hard for me to really speak with confidence on this one because I haven't seen tons of footage of Nielsen Rojas, but I am very high on Bilal Hasan, and I think he's going to get this one done. So I'm going to go Bilal Hasan. Next up, you got Levi Rodrigues Jr. versus Sei Lu. So Levi Rodrigues Jr., he came out against Felipe Franco, looked decent on the feet, kind of not the fastest guy in the world, but you can tell he's got power. You can tell he's got a little bit of thud in his punches, good leg kicks. Got off to a good start against Felipe Franco, but started to kind of wilt, gave up takedowns, and then got into mount and got TKO'd. You could say it was an early stoppage, but I think it was only going to get worse from there. So decent striking, hasn't fought the best level of competition, did have 6 amateur fights, which again, good to see, but I just didn't like what I saw in his last fight against Franco, who isn't known as really the best striker in the world. He did have a decent performance against Mario Pinto, but I think he's more of a brawler on the feet, but looking to get the fight to the ground. And so I think that really enhanced the way that Levi looked on the feet, and now he's taking on a guy in Sei Lu, who's got pretty extensive kickboxing background. He's only 3-1 in MMA, but you look at his kickboxing record, he's got tons of KOs, a lot by leg kicks, very big, 6'5", gonna be 5 inches taller, gonna have pretty similar ranges. And so I'm gonna go with Sei Lu in this one. I think that he's the better kickboxer, better weapons. I like his fight IQ a little bit better. I think that he's going to be able to kind of manage the distance and manage his gas tank a little bit better against somebody like Levi Rodrigues. I think he's going to be the more technical guy. I think he's going to have more consequence in his punches as well. And he's coming in as a guy who's 3-1 with a high-level kickboxing background, making his debut on the China card. So I think this is somebody that the UFC is touting and they want to get behind. They're bringing in Levi Rodrigues as kind of a stepping stone for him. So I'm going to go with Sei Lu to get this one done, minus 185. I think he'll get this one done by TKO or decision. Moving on, we got Alex Perez versus Sumudaerji. So the last time these guys fought, we could all tell how that fight was going to go. Sumudaerji is a problem if you stand at range or if you just stand in general with him. If you're not grappling, you're going to be in trouble. And I expected Alex Perez to have a lot more success with the grappling, and when he didn't, it looked like things were rolling downhill until the illegal shot that ended the fight. So Sumudaerji, ever since his fight with Charles Johnson that he lost, but he showed improved takedown defense. The fight against Tim Elliott, Matt Schnell, they were able to get him to the ground and have a lot of success there, obviously, in getting submission wins. But then the Mitch Raposo, Borjas, Jesus Aguilar, he did a really good job defending takedowns for the most part. The same in the Alex Perez fight. He's an absolute problem there on the feet. I don't know if Alex Perez is going to be able to make the necessary changes only 3 months later to develop a different game plan. I do think that he's got really good boxing. He's got power in the hands. He's got good wrestling. I think that he's really good everywhere. I think that he's very underrated. His last performance against Charles Johnson, we saw that, put him out. The one with Asu Almabayev was up 2 rounds before making the mistake and getting guillotine choked. Tatsuro Taira was doing a really good job landing the better shots on the feet, defending the takedowns for the most part. Had that the injury, the knee blew out his knee while he was on his back. And then losing to Mokaev, Alexandre Pantoja, Davison Figueiredo, back, prime Figueiredo back in the day 6 years ago. So these aren't bad losses. So I do think that Alex Perez is live for the win here. I picked him in the last fight to win, but seeing it actually take place it's hard to pick him again. I think that Sumudaerji's got his number in this one. I think he'll be able to maintain his range, beat up the legs, use his ranged weapons, avoid the takedowns, and just pick him apart on the feet. So I'm gonna go Sumudaerji to get this one done. Minus 210 favorite. Moving on, we got Aoriqileng versus Kai Asakura. So Aoriqileng, another one of these guys who's dangerous on the feet. You can take him down to the ground, though. You can usually have a lot of success there. Rodrigues Jr., Cody Haddon's had some success, but Cody Durden was able to take him down. Jeff Molina was able to take him down. Got TKO'd by Ayman Sahabi back in the day. Got TKO'd by Cody Haddon his last time out, which is no shame in that. I think that Cody Haddon is very, very good. And I picked Haddon to win that fight, and he won very convincingly, obviously, and got the finish. He does have power in the hands, though. We saw that in his fight with Cody Gibson. You know that he's going to be standing and banging here with Kai Asakura, who is another guy that you really have to grapple him to beat him. And we saw that with the Pantoja fight. We saw it with the Tim Elliott fight, in which I picked Tim Elliott as a crafty dog. But if you're going to stand at range with Kai Asakura, he's probably going to put you out. And I think that's what's going to happen here. We saw him do it against Cameron Smotherman his last time out. We saw him do it against Juan Archuleta, who's very good back in Ryzen before he made his UFC debut. And I don't see Aoriqileng shooting takedowns. I see these guys standing on the feet and duking it out, and I think that Kai Asakura is the far superior striker. He's got the better experience, better wins, and I think he'll get this one done. So I'm going to go with Kai Asakura to get this one done by TKO. He's minus 400 favorite. Moving on, you got Xiaonan versus Denise Gomes. So this is an interesting fight. Could see Denise Gomes shooting some takedowns, but other than that, I think that this one's going to be a stand-up bout, and Xiaonan is very good on the feet. We saw her rock and drop Weili Zhang a couple times in their fight, recently coming off of a loss to Verna Jandiroba. So another one of these Chinese fighters, so you've got to grapple him to win, and if you don't grapple him, you're going to be in trouble. And I think that Xiaonan is going to be the bigger fighter, 5'5", 63-inch reach, 5'2", 63-inch reach. I think she's going to be the stronger fighter as well, and I just don't think that Denise Gomes is going to be able to get as much respect as she's used to getting in there. She does have that win over Elise Reed, decisions over Kowalkiewicz, Eduardo Mora, Tisha Pennington. I don't really rate these wins. Lost to Angela Hill, Luma Lukbumi. Like, if Luma Lukbumi's beating you, Angela Hill's beating you by keeping it on the feet, I think that Xiaonan can beat you by keeping it on the feet. So I'm going to go with Xiaonan. I just don't see Denise Gomes being able to bully her and get in her face and really get respect and push her around the way that she's used to doing. And I think that Xiaonan, even though Denise Gomes is live for knockouts, she does have power in the hands. I think that Xiaonan has more of a presence. I think she's got more weapons, and I think that everything that Denise Gomes does well, Xiaonan does a little bit better. So I'm going to go with Xiaonan. Looked really good in her last few fights. Not going to be grappled in this one. I don't think that Denise Gomes has the ability to get her to the ground if she wanted to, and she's looked really good against high-level competition. So I'm going to go with Xiaonan. Minus 145 favorite. I feel like that should be wider. Moving on, we've got Umar Nurmagomedov versus Song Yadong. I said the last time out that Song Yadong, they were putting him against Davison Figueiredo just because he was really starting to come into his prime, had fought a lot of really high-level guys, was really starting to put things together, and was really starting to really make a run up the rankings. 28 years old, been in the UFC for, he's been in the UFC for a long time. Since 2017, fighting the who's who: Marlon Vera, Marlon Moraes, Corey Sandhagen, Ricky Simone, Piotr Jan, Henry Cejudo, Sean O'Malley, Davison Figueiredo. Those are his last 4 fights. Went 2-2 out of those. Beat Henry Cejudo, choked out Davison Figueiredo, high-level black belt. Again, he's getting up there in age. So Song Yadong, very good. I feel like this is too soon of a step up. They just keep giving him killer after killer. I think that Umar Nurmagomedov is one of the best guys in the world. It's Umar, it's Piotr Jan, it's Merab. I don't think that Song Yadong is there yet. And so I'm going to go with Umar Nurmagomedov to get this one done. I think that he's just a better version of Song Yadong. Both of them are very good. They're very tough. They're very well-rounded. But Umar is just a step above all of these other guys on the come-up. Better wrestling, better striker, more weapons. You know, Song Yadong, he's a marauder. He's got good technical abilities. He's got power, good leg kicks. There's no real major holes in his game. Tough as nails, hard to hurt, hard to get out of there. I just think that Umar mixes things up a little bit better. I think he's got a little bit better fight IQ, mixes in his wrestling as well. I think that Song Yadong's not really going to be primarily looking to get takedowns. I think he's going to be looking to keep this on the feet, whereas Umar's going to take it wherever he needs to take it to win. He's got more experience, better high-level experience. He's been 5 rounds. I think he'll be able to push a higher pace, and I just think he'll be able to mix this one up a little bit more. So I'm going to go with Umar Nurmagomedov to get this one done. Minus 550, which is still pretty crazy. These odds they give Umar, like minus 700 versus Batista, who made it close, minus 280 versus Merab in a fight that he lost. I don't think he warrants minus 550 against Song Yadong, especially in front of his people in China, but I do lean Umar Nurmagomedov to get this one done. So if you guys are still watching, appreciate it. Thanks for all the support, the comments, everything. It's been great. This is a an okay card. Hard to complain about the UFC cards. I know a lot of people are always complaining about it, but it's like we get a card every weekend, so they're not always going to be stacked. I think this one starts at 3 a.m., which is unfortunate. I'll try to wake up as early as I can to catch the most of it, but should be a good one. So looking forward to it. Thanks.